Talking about hackers today, but not the typical type of hacking that goes on. Daphne Leprince-Ringuet with ZDNet is here with us to discuss a new report on the state of ethical hacking. So Daphne, I think a good place to start would be first just a kind of general overview of what ethical hacking actually is and what the report states.
Right. So, well, firstly, yes, maybe a bit more background on what HackerOne actually is. So it's a platform that was launched back in 2012 to connect organizations, companies, platforms that release products and services to what they call white hat hackers. So what these white hat hackers do is a form of ethical hacking. They're paid, they're given bug bounties to uncover vulnerabilities in the products and services of those platforms and report them before actually malicious hackers discover those vulnerabilities and sort of exploit them for the purpose of cybercrime. So that's what HackerOne does. It connects those two, the companies and the white hat hackers. And it recently released a report on the state of ethical hacking at the moment. And what it's shown is that based on its own statistics, it's growing exponentially. So this year, HackerOne registered 600,000 white hat hackers. That's twice as many as last year. And over the past 12 months, the white hat hackers on HackerOne have accumulated a total of $40 million in bug bounties. So if you think about the fact that since HackerOne was created in 2012, overall, white hat hackers have made $82 million. That $40 million figure seems massive because that's just over 12 months, right? So it's just showing that as a profession, hacking is growing. And it's not just the overall money that's going into white hat hacking that's growing, it's also the individual prizes. So for example, last year, in 2018, it was the first time that a hacker on HackerOne received a bug bounty worth $1 million. This year, 7 hackers have received the same award, well, an award worth the same amount of money. So it's showing again that platforms, well, not only are white hat hackers more numerous, and there's more of them, but also platforms are more and more willing to cash out money and pay those white hat hackers to make sure that they uncover vulnerabilities before actually malicious hackers discover them as well.
So we're talking about millions of dollars here, Daphne. So who's actually putting the money up?
So when you think about cybercrime, obviously it's been analysed and reported before that cybercrime is going to be worth trillions of dollars, actually $6 trillion annually by 2021. And when I say it's going to be worth it, I mean it's going to cost the world that much money in the next few years. So obviously a lot of organizations have interest in making sure that this money is actually directed to ethical hacking. And so HackerOne reported that it's working with big corporations that we all know, like Google, like IBM, like General Motors. But actually, interestingly, what the report showed is that those that are most interested, that are most keen to pay for bug bounty programs are federal governments and government agencies. So, for example, the US Department of Defense has a number of partnerships with HackerOne for what they call hackathons and for bug bounty programs. So you've got Hack the Army, you've got Hack the Air Force, you've got Hack the Pentagon. The EU Commission is another one that's increasing its budget for ethical hacking. So they've launched half a dozen bug bounty programs in the last year as part of an initiative on auditing open source software. Singapore is another government that's doing quite well at that. So there's an increasing interest for obvious security purposes from governments particularly, as well as from the private sector, to make sure that this industry and that this field of ethical hacking keeps growing.
Okay, and Daphne, talk specifically about the hackers. Who are they? Is this a full-time job for some of them?
Well, it's interesting that you raise this point actually, because there is quite famously a skills shortage when it comes to security experts. Overall, globally, there are about 3 million people working in cybersecurity, and it's expected that we actually need 4 million of them. So there is definitely a shortage here. Part of it is down to the fact that there's not much formal training for cybersecurity experts. There are no A-levels, there are no GCSEs for cybersecurity, and that sort of gap is also reflected in the report from HackerOne. So the report shows that 84% of the ethical hackers on the community are actually self-trained. So they learned their crafts through online resources, through blogs, not in the traditional classroom, as HackerOne calls it. A lot of them are also performing those tasks and participating in those programs on top of the normal job. So it's more of a hobby for them. So it's sort of showing that hacking is becoming a profession. It's sort of a blurred line right now where it is on the sort of scale of professionalism. But at the moment, it feels like anyone who wants to get involved could get involved if they are motivated enough to self-teach and follow those programs online. So yeah, it will be an interesting field to keep an eye on, and certainly worth watching that spot.
Yeah, certainly will. All right, Daphne, well, thank you so much. And for much more on ethical hacking, make sure you check out that report and Daphne's full story on ZDNet.